We're exploring the idea of newcomers today. And in my experience with my newcomer friends, I hear about and I ask about their parents frequently because it's such a very big part of their experience. Parents who have come with them, who have forged the way, parents who are still back in the homeland. So it is in honor of the parents that I offer you our reading this morning. It's entitled Broken English by Rupi Kaur, who is a 25-year-old Canadian poet, writer, illustrator, and performer of Punjabi descent. I think about the way my father pulled the family out of poverty without knowing what a vowel was, and my mother raising 4 children without being able to construct a perfect sentence in English. A discombobulated couple who landed in the new world with hopes that left the bitter taste of rejection in their mouths. No family, no friends, just man and wife. 2 university degrees that meant nothing. 1 mother tongue that was broken now. 1 swollen belly with a baby inside. A father worrying about jobs and rent because no matter what, this baby was coming. And they thought to themselves for a split second, was it worth it to put all of our money into the dream of a country that is swallowing us whole? Papa looks in his woman's eyes and sees loneliness living where the iris was. Wants to give her a home in a country that looks at her with the word visitor wrapped around its tongue on their wedding day. She left an entire village to be his wife. Now she left an entire country to be a warrior. And when the winter came, they had nothing but the heat of their own bodies to keep the coldness out. Like 2 brackets, they faced one another to hold the dearest parts of them, their children, close. They turned a suitcase full of clothes into a life and regular paychecks to make sure that the children of immigrants wouldn't hate them for being the children of immigrants. They worked too hard, you can tell by their hands, their eyes begging for sleep. But our mouths are begging to be fed. And that is the most artistic thing I have ever seen. It is poetry to these ears that have not ever heard what passion sounds like. And my mouth full of likes and ums when I look at their masterpiece. Because there are no words in the English language that can articulate this kind of beauty. I can't compact their existence into 26 letters and call it a description. I tried once. But the adjectives needed to describe them don't even exist. So I ended up with pages and pages full of words, followed by commas and more words and more commas, only to realize that there are some things in the world so infinite they could never use a full stop. So how dare you mock your mother when she opens her mouth and broken English spills out? Don't be ashamed of the fact that she split through countries to be here so you wouldn't have to cross a shoreline. Her accent is thick like honey. Hold it with your life. It is the only thing she has left of home. Don't stomp on that richness. Instead, hang it up on the walls of museums next to Dali and Van Gogh. Her life is brilliant and tragic. Kiss the side of her tender cheek. She already knows what it feels like to have an entire nation laugh when she speaks. She is more than our punctuation and our language. We might be able to paint pictures and write stories, but she made an entire world for herself. Now, how is that for art? I invite you now to rise in spirit and body as you are willing and able, and join in singing our next hymn. It's number 318, We Would Be One. Do you know where you were exactly 3.5 years ago today? That would be June 14th, 2014. Well, you would have no reason to recall that in this moment, but I know exactly where I was, and I know where some of you were too that day. You were here in this sacred space, celebrating my ordination and my entry into ministry. Now, if somebody would have told me then that some 3 years later my ministry would consist of running a small painting business that trains and employs newcomers how to do the trade of house painting, my jaw would have dropped to the floor. But life is indeed what happens when you're busy making other plans. I could spend a lot of time standing up here telling you about how New Horizons painting came into existence. But since the staff at the CUC did that so beautifully in an article that they wrote last year, I would simply direct you to that article. The link is in the most recent edition of First Light. But let it suffice to say that around 18 months ago, I experienced a call, a deep call, not unlike the call that I received to minister in the first place, to ministry in the first place. And that second call was to turn a very small income supplementing job of house painting into a ministry that involves newcomers. Now, because I am a minister and not a business person, I'd be lying to you if I said that these months have been easy ones. And, as the case with most new business entrepreneurs, I'd also be lying to you if I said I've become independently wealthy so far. But I can stand here before you to tell you that I am immeasurably richer. Yes, through growing pains that frankly I'm still experiencing to some degree, I know a little bit more about running a small business. I've learned a fair amount actually about painting itself in these months. But the real growth and the real learning and the real sense of enrichment hasn't come from business plans and painting pans. It has come from having the privilege of spending time with the people I work with. Some of them here today, Usman, Boutros, Sina, Miriam, Sharif, Musa. They have enriched not only my ministry, but my entire personhood. I have laughed, sometimes wistfully, at the absurdity of me very intentionally telling them how to paint that ceiling line just so. When some of these people, they're laughing over there, you've heard it and you know it. When some of these people speak 5 languages and have been brilliant engineers in their country, and here I am telling them how to paint a line straight. I've experienced delicious food at many a lunch break from my generous co-workers with the lovely combination of pride and humility. They will slide some of their home-cooked country's cuisine to me, saying, "Lori, please." But more importantly, I know about food and I know more about their countries and their cultures now. But more importantly, I know about sacrifice and simplicity, about fortitude and faith and work ethic and loyalty like I never have before. I know what grace looks like now in the face of blatant racism. I could go on and on about our experiences, times that we've laughed and shed tears together, what I've learned and how I've grown. But I think it would be a far richer experience for you if you heard directly from a couple of them. And therefore, I'll stop now. And it is with great honor that I welcome to the pulpit Miriam Ysaye.